Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Austin royalty comes to visit Garage Control. Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. You're fine. Please have a seat. Is that a beer that you're drinking?
No, it's a sparkling water.
Oh, that's good.
It's not my Monday afternoon beer.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. That's after this.
What the hell happened? Why has it been so crazy?
I had a party last night.
On a school night?
Yes. I gathered a bunch of musician ladies at my house at 6 p.m. and some of them didn't leave until midnight, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to take my kids to school today, and so I don't know what I was thinking. And I drink wine, and I never drink wine anymore. And I'm like, who am I? So I'm sorry that I am late to your podcast. You're getting like kind of an old version of me in a new form today.
It's authentic, and that's what we strive for here on this podcast. So busy weekend as well, right?
Busy weekend. I had a show Friday night.
Saw that.
C-Boys, yeah.
Yep, it was great.
Yeah, super fun. And that's about it. And then the rest of it was like family stuff. Weekends are always kind of a wash for me because it's like it starts off with my Friday night show and I'm always like kind of rocked Saturday and then it's like straight into like kid and family land.
Yeah.
And then, I just threw a wild party into the mix on a Sunday night.
Oh man. That's awesome that you have friends that will attend a Sunday night party. I think my friends, if I were to say like, hey, come up, well, I take that back. We have done that before. Never mind.
I'm sure they would. Your friends would show up for you.
They would. It's just, yeah, it was, I don't know. It's just on a Sunday night. Good for you, by the way. That's living a good life, in my opinion.
It took a lot to do it, but like I was actually amazed at how many women showed up. I think it just goes to show you how much some of us need this. It's like we needed just a fun, vibey party that's not a show, that's not, not a networking schmooze fest.
Right.
It's just a party. So,
yeah. That's what I try to tell my friends every once in a while. Like, we got to get together. We got to have some beers. We got to vent about our problems.
Yes.
Especially me. My wife is a wound care nurse.
Oh
and
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, my problem, like anytime she comes home, we have to talk about my day first because that way I can get it out. Otherwise, if she tells me about her day, I'm like, yeah, my computer not starting properly. It really doesn't resonate. So whatever. Yeah, your day sucked far worse than mine.
Someone died in your arms.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. You had a rough day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The people like that who like what I call, they do like real work, like, the real work of life, like saving people.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my gosh. It just puts everything in perspective, right?
It does.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Where I was going to go with it. I love her to death because she will say, your problems are real too, Ramon. And I'm like, they're not.
No.
You could tell that to me all that you want, but respectfully, I disagree. So that's why.
Well, she's very sweet. She's trying to hear you and acknowledge you, but you're like, yeah, no.
Like it doesn't. We're not even on the same level. But Friday night was really fun.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I really appreciate it.
the you got to work on the door price. Free is just too expensive these days.
I know. It's okay. It's fun. I kind of like having a free show. It feels like, I don't know. It just feels like an easy way to get people there. And then I have to convince them and sell them to give me all their tip money. So yeah, it's good. It's like a challenge.
Yeah. What are your feelings about C-Boys?
I love C-Boys.
Who doesn't, right?
It's like, to me, it's become like a little home for me as of this past. It's funny because I never really played there that much until, I don't know, I did a few random like happy hours or something a couple years ago. Pre-pandemic, that's right. I was doing a happy hour. It was on I was doing Thursdays at like 9. Who the hell knows what happened before 2020? Anyway, and when I released my album last year, I was like, I really want to do a residency somewhere. Where would I like to do that? And the first thing that popped in my head was C-Boys, because it just kind of has this vibe where it's like, it's not a huge room. It's not too overwhelming, right? You're not trying to fill it with like hundreds of people. I mean, if there's like 40 people there, it's great. It feels full and vivacious and lovely. I like the location. There's parking. There's, you don't have to fight to park. It just feels easy, and easy is good for like the times we are living in right now.
I would say it is a perfect Austin venue to experience the Austin music scene, especially on a Friday night. I walked in 6:30 from, the hot evening, walk into dark
Yes.
place,
Yeah.
grab a cold beer, watch a great musical performance. And
Right.
it wasn't, to your point, it was very comfortably busy. There was people in the crowd.
Yes. Yeah.
But you had room to, breathe.
Yes.
Whereas I've
Yeah.
been to the Sea Boys, and there's definitely nights where it's shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, totally.
And that is a fun time.
Yeah.
It's just based on what kind of vibe you're wanting.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. I think Friday night, the bands that played after us, it was Next of Kin and Caroline Hale. And I really wanted to stick around. Next of Kin is like super hot right now. And I saw the like posts later, and it was totally packed, like wall to wall. And I really, honestly, these days, I can only handle like 10 minutes of that, and then I have to like dip out because it's just too much.
Yep.
But good for them and badass. And yeah, that room can really get packed. But I kind of love our little more spacious happy hour hang. It's like it's sometimes it is pretty full in there, but it's like it just never feels like overcrowded. It's great. So
Right. And I had the pleasure of having a little chat with Kyle, and I've seen him perform with different artists, mainly Reed.
Yeah.
With Reed Brothers.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed. I asked him, like, so have you guys, like, did you guys rehearse? Because there was some intricate, like, starts and stops to some of your songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys were so spot on. Have you guys rehearsed? So he goes, no, I just play with her a lot. And like over the years,
He's played with me for like probably 16 years or 17 years. And like, so it's to the point now where with him, I mean, we could never rehearse again, and he would like know exactly what I'm gonna do. He can read me so well. We like have this communication, you know. And the other guys have also been playing with. Mario's great, and David's amazing, and like they're all amazing. Like they're all such incredible players and listeners.
Yeah.
That what is funny is about this gig is we don't rehearse. Like that Friday night gig, it's funny. I shouldn't say that really on a podcast.
I was like, oh, hold on.
We don't really rehearse. And
but you don't need to. From what I've take it from me, viewers, they don't need to rehearse.
Well, it's like, okay, so it gets to this point when you're a musician where if you've been playing with your band long enough, it's kind of like you've put in that 10,000 hours with them, where you really do. It's like this beautiful communication on stage. And at some point, we're gonna do some like live recordings in November. And I was like, okay, guys, we will have rehearsals for that because there's some specific things I want to do, and we'll get some new songs. When I have like newer, that's the other thing too, is I don't have a ton of new stuff I've been playing. We had a ton of rehearsals before my album release last year, and it was like those were our rehearsals for the year, you know. So anyway, but they're amazing. I attribute that to like their incredible musicality. They're amazing.
Yeah, it was impressive to watch, and I had the pleasure of talking to the Austin's biggest music fan, Leslie Diamond.
Leslie's awesome.
Yeah, in the brief conversation that I had with her, I found out she was part of the same networking group that I attend. She utilized that to grow her business for salons in California. It's just, I love these spots because you get to have casual conversation with these individuals and she is by far probably the biggest supporter of all Austin music.
Amazing.
She's everywhere. Like I try to go to a lot of y'all shows, but she's there every single night.
People like her are what make Austin so special. There's, I mean, and there are a lot of them, which is amazing. I was just talking about this last night with the ladies at our hang. It's like, part of what makes Austin so special is not only the actual musicians and you know, artists, but the people who support, you know, the music. They live and breathe for it. And it's like, these people would just show up. I'm like blown away. I'm like, oh my God, how do you have the energy to go to so many shows in one night?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been around, you grew up here, correct?
I did,
in Austin.
I was born and raised,
So many questions on that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your first introduction in music. What was that? Performing.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I grew up very musical. I was always in like choir and, you know, whatever. You could tell I loved music from the get-go. My parents were like, she's going to be a musician. So, but I would say like my first experience with performing other than like the school talent shows were, I got very lucky when I was so my parents divorced when I was 12. I didn't get lucky in that way, but it led to some amazing things. I always say like, thanks mom and dad. It actually opened up a lot of doors for me because as often is the case, right? When something big and pivotal like that happens in your life, I was living in like the North Austin suburbs. We moved because of that. My mom moved us to South Austin. And I mean, especially back then, maybe not as much now, but I think it's still that way. It was like culture shock. Like, I mean,
really?
I ended up moving like down the street from like Broken Spoke and Saxon Pub.
Oh, okay.
And I went to like basketball practice in 8th grade, like my first day. And people knew I sang right away. I was like in choir and I would sing the national anthem at like the games and stuff. And there was a girl on my basketball team who walked up to me one day and she was like, hey, I have a band. And I was like, ooh, cool. And she was like, I was like, man, that's not something I heard in North Austin at all. And she was like, we just lost our singer. Would you want to sing? And I was like, okay. So I just showed up and it was this awesome some like teen band called Redheaded Stepchild that this amazing woman,
Love
Michelle
that name.
Murphy in town she had this company called Natural Ear Music. It was like a music school, and she would kind of put together young musicians and form bands and then give us all these amazing live music opportunities. So I played the Saxon Pub when I was like 13, 14 years old, you know? It was amazing. So, yeah.
A staple in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I also found out when I went to Carrie Hudson's show, she had been playing that venue for ever almost. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Carrie's amazing.
That's another special place. It's like it's very rare to find a venue that really specializes in telling people to be quiet and pay attention to the artist performing.
Yeah. And most people willingly do.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. You're going to those venues because you're there to listen to the artist and not conversate.
Exactly.
But, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And so what was the first instrument that you picked up?
My first instrument was piano. I took piano lessons when I was probably like 8 or 9. Loved it. Would just sit there and make up little songs and stuff.
I was about to ask, was it forced upon you to take up?
Well, no, I asked for them, but then it was funny. My mom often teases me because she's like, you wanted them so much and then you started taking them and you wanted to quit, like every kid does, right? Who plays piano.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it just seems like it's a thing.
It's so boring. It's so rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to be great right away. Like, you know, that's like kind of my Achilles heel is I'm like, I pick up I learn an instrument and I'm like, why am I not amazing? You know? And oh yes, there's this thing called practice, Suzanna.
Right.
But then years later, I found the guitar when I begged my mom for a guitar when I was 16 because I had my heart broken by a boy, and I decided that the only way to solve that heartache was to pour myself into a guitar. You know, I was listening to Jewel and Fiona Apple and Lisa Loeb and Sarah McLachlan, and I was like, well, clearly these women have all been heartbroken, and that's how they got to be amazing musicians and singers and songwriters. So that's going to be my thing. So I locked myself in my room. My mom, bless her, put a guitar like on layaway at Straight Music, and I just like plugged away and threw myself into it, and that became like my instrument. Even though piano really is still like, I love sitting down at a piano because it's a different thing. But guitar is like that's my primary writing instrument, I would say. Yeah.
And you're very good at it, by the way.
Thank you.
So what were your parents doing in regards to like a career, occupation? How were they paying the bills at this time?
So my dad was a civil engineer. They're both retired now.
Okay.
And my mom was a teacher. She was like a Spanish and ESL teacher. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So as you grew in this musical experience, what was the first, I don't know, real idea that kind of got into your head? Like, hey, I can make this a profession. Did that ever come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I think I just blindly was like, this is what I'm doing. I don't care if it works out or if it doesn't. I'm just doing this. Like, it really is funny. It's not like it was a decision. It was just like, I guess there were a few decisive moments. Like when I I went to college at Texas State University.
Oh, eat 'em up.
Southwest
Yes.
Yep. Did you go there?
I did, yeah.
What years were you there?
Oh, man, that's a good question, too. Shit. Well, I did a stint in Sul Ross State University out in Alpine,
cool.
Texas. That's where I'm from.
Wow.
Parents were like, hey, go to college here for 2 years, figure out if you like it, and if you do, you can go somewhere else.
Okay.
And so did the college thing there, and then I'm like, yeah, Alpine's kind of small. Let's go see what the world is about.
Yeah, you like outgrew it pretty quickly.
Yeah. And went to Texas State, I want to say... 2005. So I graduated 2005. Math here. 2000. So I went 2009 to 2012.
Okay. Okay. You're a bit younger than me.
Yeah, a little bit.
I went 98 to 2000.
Okay.
And I took a music class there with Dr. James Polk. Do you know him?
I don't.
He died
familiar.
last year, the year before. An incredible like beacon of like jazz. I mean, just amazing.
Yeah.
Like he used to play at the gallery all the time.
Okay. Was Triple Crown still
Triple
there?
Crown was there, yeah. And I was in a band called the Humble Bums. And
that was such an awesome venue.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I played the Triple Crown. Cafe on the Square.
Okay.
Was that there when you were there?
I think so.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, all the little... I mean, it was really such a dream life. I would like play on the weekends with the band, go to class. I loved college. I loved it. But I took this jazz class because I was like, I don't know if I want to study music. I know I want to be a musician. I want to be a rock star. Mm-hmm. But do I want to actually like study and get the degree and all that? So I took one jazz class and I was like, yes, I want to speak the language of music. I want to know more. So, and that's when I was like, but I don't know if I want to stay here. I want to try to seek out a really specific music program in a school. So I looked into all these schools, and this tiny little funky school in Santa Fe, New Mexico popped up, College of Santa Fe. And they had what they called the contemporary music program. And you could study like world musics and electronic music and jazz and classical, but you could, I mean, it was like, it wasn't just a classical kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. I keep wanting to say the word agenda, not agenda. It wasn't just a
Curriculum?
classical program.
Oh, okay.
Curriculum. That's
Hey,
the word
words.
I'm looking for.
College
Thank you.
education here, right?
I'm telling you, that wine, man. Whoo, it just like soaks up a lot of your vocabulary. But anyway, I sought that out, and I went and auditioned, and I got a scholarship, and
awesome.
that's
Very
where
cool.
I feel like I really became like, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing hardcore. I'm going to dive in. And yeah, and then the rest is history.
Were you planning on being an educator in music? Because I know that.
Not really.
Okay.
But I realized quickly you could pay your bills by doing that,
Right,
and
yeah.
I actually enjoyed it. And so when I moved back to Austin with my degree in music, I was like, well, I what can I do? So I applied. There was like an admin job that came up at Austin School of Music, at Straight Music, and they were just looking for a girl to like, or not a girl, just a person. That was like so like, sexist of me, but so misogynist.
How dare you,
of
man.
me to say.
Yeah.
But they were looking for someone to work in the office and do like the scheduling and the booking and all that. And I was like, I can do that. So I went and applied, got that job. And then I became good friends with the owner, Dave Seabury. And he he really took me under his wing and sort of, was really believed in me and was like, I think you could actually teach. You're a great guitarist. And we need more female teachers. We have a ton of female students who want. And so it was, because it was like kind of Dudeville, right? It was just like dude guitar. I mean, they were all amazing. All these incredible Kevin McKinney and Darren Lane and all these amazing musicians here taught there. But I became like, one of a handful of female teachers there. And I loved it. I did it for about 10 years. And then I kind of stopped once I don't know. I guess like the music career was just sort of becoming more demanding.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Now, during this time, what were your parents' ideas about you trying to pursue a career in music or as a musician or as an artist?
They never really questioned it. I feel very lucky and fortunate because, I think my dad might have had a few conversations with me about like, what are you going to do with this? And how are you going to make money? But only in the concerned way a dad does of like, but lovingly and never like, you're not going to make any money with this. I think they always believed in me 100%. He just wanted to make sure that like, and I think I proved to them pretty quickly, like I was very scrappy. I was super hardworking.
Yeah.
I was waiting tables. I was teaching music. I would work like 4 jobs to support what I love to do, which was music. And I think they were like, she's going to be okay. She's okay. She's a hard worker, So
you put in the effort and showed them like, hey, okay.
And I credit them with that. They were such hard workers that they kind of instilled that in me,
Right.
So,
I think, I know we were having this conversation about yesterday on the golf course. I was like, this guy said, well, he was like, he made some sort of comment like, maybe I'm privileged because I pursued a career in engineering and therefore I really don't understand the work hustle of other people. And I think it doesn't matter what background you come from. It's just this innate feeling of I have to work hard for the things that I do. And it's not coming from a sense of privilege. It's just coming from
not
a
at
sense
all.
of,
yeah.
Okay.
Because I also know people who had hardworking parents and they're not that hardworking.
Right,
it's like, I really do think it's like something you're kind of born with. It's like, and I'm not saying that it's bad either way. It's like, I mean, we could get deep into capitalism, like, like break that all down. But I do think that there is also just like an energetic drive that some people have.
Yeah.
Some people have less of it. Some people have more. And I loved working, and I still do,
Yeah. So why did you choose Texas State? Because it's 30 minutes away from Austin. You didn't want to like venture out into the world?
Well,
or?
I think it was a nice little tiptoe of like getting out of Austin, but not too far away. My sister was going there too. I had an older sister, and she loved it. And I was like, I would go and visit her, and I was like, dude, San Marcos is awesome. Like the river, it kind of had this hippie vibe, but there was this beautiful campus there. And like I said, it was outside of, I was like, a 30-minute drive back then. Now it's probably like an hour because of traffic, but it was a quick drive out but a quick drive in, and I was still very close with my family. It just felt sort of like, I think I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to leave Austin as well yet, because the live music capital of the world, there was a big music scene here, and I was like, maybe I should kind of stay put and do stuff here, right? You know?
Yeah.
But then eventually I was like, okay, I'm bored. I want to move away and see what else is out there in the world, you know? So
now I'm trying to keep things in order of your life, but you just made a very important word stand out to me, was the music capital of the world.
Sorry, I didn't really mean to say that. It totally still
Freudian
is.
slip or whatever that word is called. Where do you stand on that? Because I've asked other musicians like that same question, and one guy, Alex Henley, he was like, are we really the music capital of the world? And I wanted to kick him out of my couch right now, because I truly believe it is.
I think live is the key word. Okay. Live music capital of the world. I will say I lived in New York for a few years. I've spent a lot of time in LA. Obviously, those two cities have very vibrant live music scenes, but they also have a lot of industry and studio music scenes and production. There's a whole industry there that Austin kind of doesn't have, or has started to build slowly. But I think Austin has that moniker, that motto, live music capital of the world, for a reason, because I swear I have gone other places and you cannot find as many bands, artists, singers, songwriters, musicians playing one night here as you can other places. I mean, obviously people could argue with like maybe New York and maybe LA, but most of the cities in between, it's just, I mean, it's not. This is me speaking from my experience. I'm sure other people might have differing opinions, but it really is, I don't know. There is something about like, and I've had friends who've come and visited from other places, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you can see this many shows in one night. Like, you really could go to 4 or 5 different venues on one night and see 5 completely different bands and musicians and artists. And anyway, And
I think it starts at the airport. I mean, there's live musicians. It really does. Like,
that's a great case in point, right? It's like, I mean, how many airports do you land in where you're like hearing a band play? You know,
Nashville's the only place that I've like landed.
Yes.
I hear a singer, you know, at some sort of bar.
Yeah, there's a few other places that are starting to do it, but I think honestly they're copying Austin. So
interesting enough, we just came back from New York for we were there to see System of a Down and Korn.
Oh, nice!
It was awesome. My wife loves System of a Down.
Awesome.
I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Hey, let's go to New York." And turns out it was in Jersey, but.
Of course.
It's still, man, that was a whole, that was a whole adventure, because we landed in LaGuardia and we had to traverse all the way over to New Jersey in rush hour, mind you. So we were trying to take the bus, and we had our, tidbits of frustration. Like, I don't know where it is. You fucking look it up. You look it up. So we were just arguing.
Next time, just fly into Jersey.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Everyone else told me that, but
sometimes it's cheaper. But
Well, it is, but Southwest doesn't fly.
I know. I was, as soon as you said LaGuardia, I was like, I bet he got a good deal on Southwest.
Southwest, I am a companion pass member, so that means wife flies free. Perfect. And so rather than, looking back at it now, it probably would have saved us an argument here or there if we landed in New York and just
coughed up. It saves your sanity a little bit. It
does, and sometimes there's something to that.
Now you have a story to tell.
Looking back at it now, System of a Down was the only real live music that we saw there. And to your point, we crawled over Manhattan. We dipped into one bar, and I don't remember hearing any live music. It was just the hustle and bustle of the city. Now, mind you, it is a completely different city.
Totally.
But to your point, here in Austin, I worked Saturday night, and within 2 venues there was a live band playing. And just on my walk to where I was hired at. So I think there is something to that, in that we are the live capital or live music capital of the world.
It's like in our culture, and I also think that people who live here are more programmed to expect it too. Like, it's kind of almost weird if you show up to a bar and there's not live music, and it's not to say like, I don't always want to go hear live music. There are times where I'm like, I just want to go have a drink at a bar, maybe hear some nice music in the background, but not be hearing a band, because I do want to have a conversation. And here's the thing, I'm so trained, if there is a band or a musician playing, I don't want to talk,
your
I'm
attention's
like, sorry,
there. Right.
I feel awkward, So there are time and place for everything, but I do think that the people in Austin just sort of expect it, so
that's also my thing. When I go to shows, it's like, I can't really, whether I'm hired there or just going as a fan, I don't really want to have a conversation. I'm like, well, one, it's loud.
Yes.
I'm not trying to scream in somebody's ear.
You don't want to lose your voice.
So it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought with New York because I was just
New York.
yeah, New York. Nashville. So
yeah.
It feels like they are the experts in producing some sort of product that is profitable for that specific industry. And I had a conversation with Keith Sanders of Brother Thunder here, and he explained that to me. It's like here in Austin, you're free to kind of just explore your own musical talents, work your way through that. Whereas Nashville, they're requiring some sort of product out of you
totally.
in which to sell.
Yeah.
Do you think if we were to take that business model of Nashville and implement it here in Austin, what does that look like for Austin?
I just hope that doesn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that because actually at this party last night, I was talking to a very young musician who showed up, who she just came from Nashville, and she was like, God, it's so nice to be in a city where I can kind of explore who I want to be as an artist. She was like, anytime I even told someone in Nashville that I was a musician or a songwriter, they automatically wanted to like put me in a box and try to I don't know, capitalize on something. It's just the way they do things there. It's like there is this sort of structure and hierarchy and sort of way of doing things there that is so what's the word again? The wine,
profitable.
Yes, something like that. Anyway, and all my friends who've spent time in Nashville talk about it. They're like, it's just a vibe. It's like there are a million things that are great about Nashville. That's where a lot of writers are, and there's a lot of my friends do studio work there, right? It's incredible in other ways that Austin is not. But I think for people trying to explore their, perhaps like where they fit and their artistry and try to stretch out a little bit, it's not the best experimental town for that, right? Whereas Austin is much more forgiving, much more, there's a culture here. I mean, even Willie Nelson is a perfect example, right? It's like he was not country enough for Nashville. He was, he brought the kind of outlaw country thing here where it's like you couldn't really put him in a category. He was a little bit of folk, a little bit of country, a little bit of rock. He was this and that and defied the system that Nashville sort of has. And Nashville definitely has they kind of have a system, of doing things. So, yeah.
In your perfect utopian world of musicianship and business for musicians, what kind of business model would you like to implement in Austin? I know that's a very weird, out of the wall, off the cuff.
I think it's starting to happen here in Austin. We're seeing we were talking about this last night too. It's a great day to have a podcast after I met with a bunch of musician ladies. We're all kind of discussing all these things. Well, Austin, so again, we don't have a ton of industry here where you can go and have a conversation with a label or a publisher, although that is changing. Like BMI, who I just switched to, they're a publishing company. I was with ASCAP for years and, they were fine. But BMI actually has a person here, Mitch, this amazing guy who will take a meeting with you and try to connect you with people and ask you what your goals are and try to connect you with co-writers and make things happen. And that when I was coming up as a musician here, there were definitely some aspects of that, but you really did have to go to New York or LA or Nashville to meet with your agent or to try to make an introduction happen for a label. That's starting to change a little bit here. It's still not as prevalent here, but I also think, as my friend Gina Chavez so astutely said last night, that might be why Austin has been able to kind of be in this bubble of creativity because there is not this industry here that expects something and that is a little bit more, maybe trying to, I want to use the right words here. Commercialize a little bit. Yes. Capitalize, whatever it is. I mean, it is an industry, right? We are trying to make money in some way, shape out of it. We have to support ourselves and we're all part of that machine. But the fact that machine hasn't existed as much in Austin has allowed Austin to kind of thrive in this kind of funky, creative, a little more artsy-fartsy way than maybe Nashville, New York, LA, right? Because we're not trying to do whatever that thing is. Although sometimes we want and need that and we can't find it as much here.
Yeah. So, yeah. How do you balance that? How do you balance that out?
I mean,
how do you go corporate without going corporate?
Yeah, great question, right? I think it just depends on what your goal is too, right? I have never had this grand goal of, I don't know, getting signed to a record label. And I mean, a lot of that's gone anyway, right? Of like, the industry has changed so much of like what a label does for you and what they're even able to do for you. And things have changed so much. And you are able to sort of independently create your own world label team, right? You don't necessarily need a label anymore. You do need some connections to help hopefully make bigger things happen for you, but you can build a lot of it organically. But to your question, I think as long as you are making connections happen however you want them to and wherever you want them to, again, you can build that empire yourself. You don't necessarily need those. I'm rambling here a little bit,
No.
And if you want those things to happen, you can go seek them out and you can make them happen. But again, Austin is not quite, if you are trying to be like someone who is really competing in that world and at that level, Austin might not be the place for you. And that's totally fine. You know, I've known artists who have moved on to other places because Austin was just a little too non-competitive for them. You know, they sought out that, Austin gets this bad rap as like the velvet coffin. I've heard people all throughout my life use that term because they're like, you can just, live and die comfortably here as a musician. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily.
No, that sounds quite comforting. And
I'm also speaking, you also have to take into account, I have children now. I have a family. I'm not looking to like tour relentlessly and go for these huge things that take me away from my children. I prefer being here, doing whatever I can here that supports my music and gets me into the wonderful music community I love, and keeps me working and keeps me supporting my family. But I'm not going for some of the same things that maybe I was when I was 25, 26 without kids,
Right.
So there is that. So you have to take what I say with a grain of salt.
No, that's another interesting point I want to bring up later on in this conversation. Yeah. Where I was going with this is Congress has seen a facelift. And some of the iconic spots, Seaboys, Continental Club, Continental Gallery, are still there.
Yeah.
But now there's a Nike store.
There's a Lululemon.
There's a Lululemon. There is something that is, I would call just an eyesore that is sticking out on that street.
It's a little Beverly Hills.
It seems like a necessary evil because in order for you guys as artists to sustain a livelihood here, you need people to come to the shows. That takes money. So how do you feel about just that street changing in general?
Well,
first question.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, it's not my favorite. I would prefer for Austin to stay funky, not necessarily weird, but just like, keep its quirks, right? And thankfully, there a lot of places have been able to maintain, right? We still got Güeros over there. We've got Uncommon Objects, like some cool funky stores and restaurants and stuff. Home Slice, although some people would say Home Slice isn't even that new. I mean, it came around in the I don't know what, like late aughts or something. There's always going to be that don't California my Austin thing going on to each generation, right? And like everyone will have their haunts, their local haunts that are like their places. And like when I was growing up, my Momo's
that's another question that I was going to ask, but
Momo's was like it is really, we were taking a poll last night at my musical hang, and it was like most of us, I would say 80% of us met at Momo's. That is no longer here. That's okay. We have other things and we have other cool new venues that have come about, and there's always going to be that, right? Like things closing, things opening. The money that has kind of come into Austin, the new money, I have no problem with it as long as they seek to support the things that make Austin so unique and perhaps the reason they moved here in the first place, right? Like, and I think that's where places like and organizations like Sonic Guild, like Black Fret, which is now Sonic Guild, come into play, which are great. They are basically seeking to introduce all these newcomers who perhaps have money and the wherewithal to support the music scene. They are basically like members of this club where they get access to all these amazing artists and musicians, and they support them. They give grants away every year to keep the wheels turning here in the music scene. So, and we have Ham and we have Sims and we have all these wonderful ways that we support our local musicians. Anyway, all this to say, Austin was always going to get discovered. It's a university town. It's a beautiful town. It's a, thriving, beautiful city. But as long as the tricky part is affordability, right? That's what I was going to try to get to, is that like this new money coming in, these new people, it's like, we see the rents going up there, and it's everywhere. It's not just Austin. It's a common problem right now, is that it's affordability, just like, how do we live? So we're seeing a lot of musicians, get driven out of Austin and live on the outskirts. Although with that, we're also seeing cool new budding communities outside of Austin, like little music communities like Lockhart and Buda and Taylor and all these different. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing too. Small towns are becoming these vibrant little pockets of culture and are now getting to kind of taste the talent that was once living in Austin. Now it's living outside of Austin. And so anyway, I'm a very optimistic person, so I'm not one of those people who is like, get out of here, Californians. I'm like, welcome all. Just be cool and be supportive, and put your money where your mouth is.
I do find I'm putting more effort into not becoming the curmudgeon old man. I work Saturday night down on West 6, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm fighting every fiber of my being to not just yell at these kids. What are you doing? Why are you on the sidewalk?
You know what? Like, that has always been here.
Sure, it has.
Like, in different phases, ways, shapes, forms, whatever. So I always just try to remind people, I'm like, this is just the newest, latest version of whatever that was 10 years ago, right? So.
So what was it like playing at Momo's? This was a venue that I never got to experience. Yeah. All my friends in in Alpine, they talked about this place when I first came to Texas State. I never got an opportunity to go there because it closed. So what was it like?
Momo's was very magical. And I mean, I know it's easy to go down nostalgic memory lane in a very sparkly way, but everybody lights up when you talk about Momo's, because it was, first of all, just the way the venue was set up was so cool. It was above, now it's this cheesy club called Pop or Fun, or
I think it's Green Light Social or something like
Social.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's above Katz's, which is reopening. Did you ever go to Katz's?
I did not.
So
no.
Katz's, Katz, was this Jewish deli, a traditional kind of New York deli.
Okay.
Owned by Mark Katz, and it was open 24 hours.
Is that the same one that's in New York that specializes in corned beef? Anyways, sorry, go on.
No.
Okay.
But very similar vibe.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So, and I think he has one in Houston. I'm probably mixing this up. But okay, so they were this, mainstay of Austin, one of the few 24-hour diners you could go in and get an amazing, what's the word?
Breakfast.
Thank you. Breakfast. Not breakfast. That's not what I was looking for. Just whatever. A traditional deli sandwich on rye bread, like you said,
okay.
What's the word? No, knish. It's Knish. These these little Jewish potato pockets that are just ridiculous. Oh my God. And pickles, maybe they had fried pickles. They had a lot of good stuff there. Great bar food, for late night hangs. Okay. Anyway, Momo's was the spot above it that used to be Top of the Mark a long time ago, which my parents went to. So it's it's always been this really cool, iconic venue.
Okay.
But so, full disclosure, my husband, Paul Ovesi, owned Momo's. So this isn't a plug just because, I ended up marrying the owner. But it is a significant place in my musical and personal journey because of this. So I was introduced to Momo's in about 2007-ish.
Okay.
And it had already been around since maybe 2003. And I walked in and I was like, oh my God, this is such a cool vibe, because it had this outdoor patio, elevated outdoor patio. You could see all of downtown. It was before all the big condos. So it was just this beautiful vibe on the patio. People could smoke and hang, but there was no closed. You could see the stage from the patio, and then you could wander into the venue and sit right up close to the stage. And the cool thing about Momo's, I think, that differentiated them from a lot of venues, is that they could go from a singer-songwriter act to a full rock band to a bluegrass show to a world music, to a hip hop thing. They kind of said yes to everything as far as their brand went for booking. They weren't the Red River District that was a little bit more punk rock, or, they weren't the Saxon Pub, which was primarily just singer-songwriters. they were kind of this in between thing that was like very open. And I think because of that, it just allowed so many different people and musicians to mingle, and it allowed you to discover like your new favorite band that was maybe a little bit outside of the thing that you had like traditionally been, turned on to. So yeah.
Any relation to emos? Was there, or is that just completely separate?
No, just a completely different thing. Right. Yeah, no, emos was its own thing, and I loved emos too, and I still do. It's kind of had like 3 different like transitions into different things, but yeah. But Momo's was just a great hang, and like we would have like late night hangs and jams, and it just ended up being this big family of musicians that we all sort of like, I feel like, found our voice and our thing and our place there. It was like I definitely feel like I developed my strong following there, and people allowed me to just sort of do my thing and experiment and become whatever I would become musically. It was just such a great, lovely, vibey, warm place. Yeah.
So you get out of school from Santa Fe. What was the next stop?
So I came back to Austin. I decided to move back to Austin. And I started recording my debut album. Was working at the Austin School of Music, teaching, and I was also waiting tables. And then I would go and record whenever I could afford to. My boyfriend at the time, Stephen Orsak, was awesome. He was just this great musician, kind of an electronic musician, and he would record me. And he was the producer of my first album, Shutters and Rings, and had a big hand in kind of making that album so lovely and wonderful, and I owe him a lot of credit for that. He was just a great musician. And then I think from there I started playing Cactus Cafe, Hole in the Wall, eventually found my way to Momo's and a whole new echelon of like musicians. It was like I feel like there's all these like waves in my life of like, or these like stages of, now I'm hanging out with this group of musicians, and then one of them introduced me to this whole new other wave of musicians, and they're all equally incredible, but just completely different, and so each door sort of opens up new things for you, so yeah.
And what was like your work schedule / practice / performing schedule? Like, how did you balance that?
Oh God, I mean, I guess the way every 20-something-year-old does. You have unlimited energy and time, and you just like go, balls to the walls with it, for lack of a better phrase.
Right.
You really do have this crazy energy. I worked at a 24-hour diner called Texas Music Cafe. It was right next to Continental Club. I used to wait on like James McMurtry and Patty Griffin and like all these incredible musicians who would just, stumble in. It became Botticelli's. Do you know Botticelli's?
No.
Okay. So, God, yeah, you might have gotten here like Botticelli's was still here when you were here. It was this amazing Italian restaurant that also did live music in the back. But Texas Music Cafe was owned by these 2 women, Deb and Leone, and they would book bands to play in the back garden. It had like a back garden that was literally it was on the alley, the back alley that Continental Club was. So people would just constantly be stumbling in and out, and so I would work until 4 a.m. there, and then go into, luckily, the School of Music, like most music lessons, and like the job didn't really start until like later in the afternoon. So I'd go in there, work, sometimes have another shift, sometimes have a gig. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I really was sort of insane, but again, like I said, I loved it. I loved just all things music, right? Whether it was teaching the next generation how to play. I'm still friends with a lot of like oh my God, the kids that were like 12 then are now like in their like late 20s, and it's bizarre. They show up to my shows and I'm like, oh my God, you're an adult. This is weird. But it's so amazing, like some of them are doing music, some of them aren't, but they're doing amazing things in the world, and they just like, it was, anyway.
Had you not put in that effort and energy in those earlier years, do you think you would still have the same success that you have now, or would it look different?
It would probably just look different. Okay. I don't know, but I do think that, what you put in early on in your career really does play out and sustain in the long run. It's like, and I mean, sometimes it doesn't. Because sometimes a lot of the people that helped open doors and get you to where they are, they move on, or they're not doing the same things anymore. And whatever, just the industry sort of changes. So some of the things that used to work for you, or the things you used to put your time and energy into, just don't work the same way anymore. And social media, oh my God, like that has completely changed since I first started out as a musician. So it's like there's that whole thing that a lot of us have had to like learn and figure out our persona with, and how we handle that, right? And so yeah, but I do think putting in the hard work early, it earns you a fan base, fans that stay with you forever. I mean, I actually, as hard as I worked, I sometimes regret that I didn't work harder in some ways. You know, it's like, I feel like I maybe sometimes partied too much and should have should have been more disciplined. Even though I consider myself a disciplined person. I look at some people, you know, I have this competitive spirit, and I'm like, oh, I think they put in maybe more time than I did because they're doing better now. But it's so funny because it's just like, who knows what the magic thing is that catches and that helps people sustain a career, right?
Yeah, that thing that you talk about, I think I call it Catholic guilt because I grew up Catholic. Oh my God.
I did
you grow up?
too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How do people live their life without that Catholic guilt?
Oh my God. I meet people. I have a few friends in my life who didn't grow up with any religion.
Yeah.
And they are just a completely different human. They're like, why do you feel guilty all the time? And I'm like, why do you not?
Well,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. That thing is real.
It really is real.
And funny enough, my wife didn't grow up Catholic. She grew up Baptist, but she still has the same sentiment.
Most people who grew up with religion have some form of shame, guilt that lives with them, that beats them up, you know?
Yeah, it keeps you awake at night.
Yes. Anyway, I've done a lot of work shutting it. I'm sure you have too.
Oh, yeah. Therapy definitely has helped, but it's still like I find myself, why did I say that yesterday? That was so mean, when in reality it was probably not even mean at all.
It was probably fine. It was probably necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
So as you kind of grew in your profession, I don't know how to phrase this question, but what was it like doing it as a woman versus as a man?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question.
Like, what were some of the differences?
I'm sure there are differences that I'm not even aware of, but you know, it's kind of funny. I always considered myself one of the dudes. I really did. Like, I think I remember definitely having different experiences than my male peers where I was like, oh yeah, I think that just happened because I'm a girl. Whether it was, you know, being treated differently in a predatorial way, or just being treated differently of like not being respected as much initially until I proved myself worthy, you know, and then it was like, oh, she's awesome, she's cool, she's accepted here, whatever. I will say I do feel very lucky, and that I feel like for the most part I managed to avoid, maybe just good choices with people I was hanging out with, but most of the men and women I surrounded myself with were lifting me up. None of them were, I don't feel like I had too many toxic or predatory situations as a woman in the industry. I have friends who have very different experiences. Obviously, and I think some of that's luck, some of it's whatever. It's just like you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, right time. But I do think that in general, the industry, and this is starting to change, you know, thank God, finally, but it's still baby steps. You know, as far as like getting booked on like festival bills, I think that's where you see it the most, is like getting booked, you know, men, you just see more male artists in general on festival bills, on any venue, really. It's slowly changing. I love that, like, I am now opening the Chronicle and seeing like half women, half men, you know, like maybe even more female performers than male performers out and about. But I think that's really taken a long time to you know, to get to this point. So,
there's one specific music festival in Taos, right?
Yes. Yeah. Shout out to Andrea McGee. You were part of that magic.
It was a good time.
Yes. Ramon was one of the chosen few to be there. No, I'm just
kidding.
Yeah.
I paid my dues. No.
Well, you did a fabulous job of capturing it.
You stop. You can stop right there.
Seriously.
I don't want to hear any comments.
Amazing.
Stop it. No. Shut up. I'll kick you out of this house right now.
Okay. Sorry.
But while I was there, I couldn't help but think of, this is kind of a new thing, right? We're a women-only festival because of the history of trying to do things as a woman, starting businesses, starting music festivals. Do you think in your opinion, do you think there will ever be a time where you don't have to do that anymore. It's just everything is equal, everything is socially equal, financially equal, or will there always be a pursuit in creating women-only spaces?
I definitely think, it's kind of a reflection of the culture we're in as well, and like whatever's going on politically, which we can, we won't get into that, but I will say, like, I think we have made so many big jumps and advances in the culture, accepting women and respecting women musicians. There's been a lot of great change. I mean, also shout out to Beyonce and Taylor Swift, the big artists for really helping to change that. I mean, I think that once your numbers are like selling out like your male peers in the music industry, the industry has to take notice and do something about it, right? It's like, it sucks that it has to take, money to be the answer, but a lot of times that's how it is, right?
That's the country you live in.
Exactly. Yeah. But what was I saying? Okay, yes. So you were asking,
will these events eventually dissipate because there's an equal playing field?
I think that yes and no. I think in some ways, yes, there won't be maybe such a this kind of desire and need to create them because the equalization is happening and the balance is happening. But two, I think sometimes people enjoy a festival like that, especially I think a lot of women feel safe in those in those spaces, right? It's sort of like really just kind of like goes without saying that like this is a safe space for women to be in, whereas sometimes they might not feel that way, but that's kind of something else that's not really related to music. That's just like the culture, right?
And mind you, the She Rises Fest is very welcoming to men.
Oh, and absolutely. Yeah. Like Andrea says, it's not about competition. It's just about kind of evening things out, exactly. Right? Balance, right? Yeah, I know. People tease me. And that's the other thing too. It's like when you say like I'm going or I'm playing this all female fest, like some men are like, oh, am I not invited? And it's like, no, dude.
It's
just
very easy to make that joke.
Right.
Like that's low hanging fruit. Come on.
But it's kind of hilarious because it's like when you think about it, it's like if you look at any other big festival that's primarily men, it's not like, the women are going, oh, are we allowed to show up, And so it's just this funny, like icky thing, but whatever.
And I'm sure Andrea knows all the comebacks for all those statements, especially with her Irish temperament.
She's doing great. She's killing it. And I really appreciate that she is doing that. And if you looked at the stage, there were obviously male performers on stage. It's not like it's, men aren't welcome here. It's just like trying to shine a spotlight on marginalized community, which women of color, certain people who do not necessarily always get picked first. Yeah. So yeah.
That's well said. And I like that answer. So as you're an entrepreneur, correct?
Yeah.
As a musician.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you tell Suzanna in the beginning of her music career, like now that you have all this experience? And this question is sort of alluding to any female artist who's just at their start.
That's a great question. I think often I think about this and think I would tell her, do not care what people think about you so much. Do not compare, just do your thing, be you, and don't be so like timid and scared. I think when I like looking back, it's kind of funny because sometimes I'm like, wow, I must have been really confident because I like pushed myself into rooms and venues and booked myself and did all these things just like sort of unabashedly, like, whatever, confident. And then also I know that the whole time I was doing it, I had this voice in the back of my head, and this is probably common, right? The human condition of constantly sort of thinking you're not good enough, or there's always that little demon voice, right? But I do think that I was really hard on myself and was constantly like, oh, you don't deserve to be here. You're not as good as them, blah, blah, blah. So I would probably just tell her, like,
same.
Hush that voice. Like, you completely deserve to be here, and don't be so, just whatever. Just be unabashedly yourself and show up, and don't worry so much about all those stupid little, things that many of us do when we're young. And some of that just kind of has to naturally come with age, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It just is how it is, Yeah.
So, yeah. I wish I was, the things that I'm learning now at the age of 37, I'm more patient. I'm more understanding.
Yes.
As when I was a 25-year-old, like I would go to parties, and if they're not playing Bright Eyes or Elliott Smith, then this party sucks, man. You guys don't know what music is.
You were a total snob.
Yeah. And now I go to parties, if they're playing Taylor Swift, hey, that's what's keeping the party going.
Yes.
That's a good song, even though I have my own feelings about Taylor Swift. But that's neither here nor there.
Exactly.
But if people are having a good time, then why be the curmudgeon?
Totally agreed. And part of that is just, it's funny because I remember, God, I always like apologize to my parents because I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was such an asshole snob when I was in my early 20s because I know I would be like, ugh, you're playing this, whatever. But it's funny because I have 2 stepchildren who are 25 and 23.
Okay.
And now like when I talk to them, I'm like, I totally hear them doing that. And I'm like, it's just a rite of passage. It is just, everything when you're that age. You're very opinionated.
Yeah.
And
You're in
that's
your
okay.
feelings.
It's like part of like figuring out who you are, I think, is like being like, I love this and I hate that, right? And then you slowly, as you go out into the world and you meet different people and you figure out who you are and you listen to new things and you get exposed to different cultures, you start to like shed some of those walls, that are so like, defining who you are, so when you open up a bit.
And so you're also a radio personality, right? For Sun.
I am, yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
I have been doing that since about 2017.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I thought that was the
I
case.
fell into it very haphazardly. It's funny because it had always been this sort of pipe dream of mine to be a DJ. I grew up in Austin with great radio, like KGSR and KUTX and all these great stations, and now Sun Radio. And I mean, the DJs felt like my friends, right? Like I was like, oh, thank you, Jay Trachtenberg, for playing that amazing thing, or Jody Denberg, or whoever was playing the thing that turned me on to this whole new world of music. And it was just incredible. So it was always this thing, but I was like, I don't know how I'll ever get to be a DJ. It's not like I have a degree in journalism or, RTF or whatever. But I was always told growing up, you have a great voice for radio. Like we know you're a singer and you're a musician, but your speaking voice is actually really great. And I was like, huh, okay. But anyway, so long story short, my friend Kelly McWee, another fabulous musician here in town, had a weekly radio show on Sun Radio called River Girl Radio. She had actually taken it over for Paula Nelson, who had Highway 290. And Paula started touring more and doing her thing. Kelly took it over. Then Kelly started touring more and doing her thing. And she asked if I would fill in for her. I did. And the boss at Sun Radio, Daryl, came in one day and was like, he told Kevin Connor, the amazing Kevin Connor of Sun Radio, who had sort of like helped me do the gig there. He was like, she's really great and natural. I think we should get her in here if an opportunity presents itself. Well, a few weeks later, Jessie Scott, who was incredible, she is now I'm always blanking on the name she ended up going to Nashville. She got the job as like radio program music director for a very esteemed station in Nashville that I'm blanking on, of course, right now on a microphone. So she moved on, and so they wanted to replace her with another female, and the timing just worked out perfectly.
Right.
They asked me if I wanted to. It worked out perfectly timing-wise for me because I was becoming a mom. I had a 2-year-old and was just starting to... I was still playing music, but like I wasn't going on the road as much. I was starting to think about maybe diversifying what I was doing as a musician or entertainer or whatever in the music world. So I was like, yeah, I'll try this out. This sounds awesome. It's kind of a nice, easy day gig.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just kind of rolled into it and I ended up loving it. So I've been there now for, God, whatever that is, 8 years.
Yeah.
And I've changed throughout. I'm not the midday daily personality there anymore because Loris Lowe is. She's amazing. I ended up... as you know, my music career kind of ebbs and flows, right? And so I ended up having another kid, which was perfect for the radio thing. But then I started like ramping up music career again and recording another album and doing more.
Bird by Bird, correct?
Bird by Bird, yeah. Good. So I was like, I don't think I can do the radio thing every day anymore. So they were very sweet and they were like, why don't you just do the weekends? So I've sort of like my time slot keeps changing, but I've been the weekend girl now. So I'm on Saturdays and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the past maybe year. And I love it because I get to be with the kids all week and do my gigs throughout the week. And then I just get to do 2 shows a week on the radio and I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in the industry of radio, how is that going? Because there's this thing called the internet.
Yes.
And so how is this still I don't know, how is this industry still surviving?
Yeah, this is a great question. Some people think radio is dead, but it's not.
As I did, yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny, I can't remember the statistic, but most people still listen to a terrestrial dial on the radio because you have to not to get like economically classist or whatever, but there are lots of people out there, thousands, millions of people who either do not have access to the internet, or they don't have they don't want to pay for subscriptions, musical subscriptions. They maybe can't afford to, right? There is a whole slew of people who literally just listen to whatever comes on in their car because, again, they don't have maybe the capability to connect to the world of streaming. Now, granted, there are also millions of people who do not listen to radio anymore, but it is incredible. I think here's my thing is I think radio continues to be relevant because, well, that whatever that fact is that I couldn't give you the statistic just now, but radio is not only like what you hear on the airwaves and the music coming out, but it's sort of this this whole little microcosm in of itself, whether it's KUTX or Sun Radio, that does like live broadcast in the community, fundraising, connecting to charity and nonprofit work, connecting to the community. I mean, basically it's like a part of the community, right? Just in the same way a TV news station is still irrelevant, right? It's like people still watch the news. Yeah. People still listen to the radio. We are not 100% in that era yet. At some point, we probably will be. But right now, the world is still in this kind of in-between, right? Where it's like CDs are still kind of relevant, even though I always question printing them every time I put out an album, but people still show up and buy CDs. It's kind of crazy. Go down to Waterloo Records. There are still CDs being, so it's not 100% gone, and I'm kind of blown away. Plus, radio also now has the option of having an app, right? Like Sun Radio has an app. So it's like, so yes, for the listeners who are a little bit more online and on their devices and a little more connected in that way, they can download the free app and listen that way. And I think people still like having a human being, a personality that is tied to their local community to talk about said community, to be connected to the problems. Like when the floods happened in July, I mean, you wouldn't want to just go onto Spotify or whatever and like listen to some AI DJ. People wanted to feel that human connection and be like, this person gets it. They know that we were affected by this flood that just happened, and now they're doing some fundraising and trying to gather goods and it's like, there is always going to be that human connection that people are looking for and need. So anyway, that's my very, very long answer to that.
No, that's a great answer. I really appreciate that you brought to life the idea of the human element in radio, because I think that's super important. When I'm in my networking groups, I'm talking about like selling my services. I always tell people, you want a person to talk about your product and services, and you want that person to be a part of the company. Yeah. Because that's how you build trust. That's how you build authenticity. For sure. And when people buy your product or service, they want to know the person that they're dealing with. So it just makes sense. Exactly. And that's been my whole business model about what I do when it comes to commercial aspect. Yeah. So 2024, you came out with the album. Yeah. How long did that process take? From first song that you started writing, or did you pull that from the archive, or a song from the archives?
I mean, it was sort of a combination of a few songs that were, had been in my back pocket for a while. But okay, so I would say that album sort of started to take formation and shape around the pandemic. So like 2019... I felt like I was like really starting to rev up, like playing live. I had a baby in 2019. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm like, oh my God.
When were my children? It starts. I know. I can't really help you on this one.
Ramona. When was she born again? My children's birthdays. So yes, I had a baby, second baby in May of 2019. And so just when I was starting to kind of come out of that and start to play out more, the world sort of shut down. And what this allowed me to do, it was sort of a gift to me in a way, because it took the pressure off the live thing, the live music performance. And it allowed me to kind of like get back into writing, which I had sort of been neglecting a little bit with, having little kids around and babies. So I started writing a little bit more prolifically about that time. And I would say in like 2021 is when I started to kind of be like, I think I want to make an album, and I think I have enough to make an album. And I had been talking to my dear friend, and I kind of consider him a musical mentor at this point, David Garza. I had always wanted to make an album with him. We had talked about it on my last album, but it didn't work out. He was too crazy and busy. And so I recorded that one with David Boyle, who's amazing. But David and I started kind of having conversations again. And he was like, send me your stuff. I want to start listening to it. And he put out this great idea once, like, I guess it was maybe late 2021. Vaccines had, rolled out. We were kind of starting to get back to normal life or normal-ish life. And he was like, he was like, I know life is crazy for you. You're a mom now. What if you flew out to LA? He lived in LA at the time. And what if I put together a band for you out here? Just made it super easy for you to come out, record these songs, and then we'll just like mix them. You go back to Austin, whatever. We'll slowly start mixing, mastering, yada, yada. So it was this really amazing experience where I got to kind of leave my normal life and here in Austin, and I did a week out in LA in a heat wave. It was awful. Usually when you go to LA, it's beautiful weather. And I decided to go out there when it was triple digits and hotter than it was in Austin, and no one has AC there. So that was a whole other thing. But I do feel like it lent this vibe to the album that made it very, very warm. We had to record at night because the studio didn't have air conditioning, and it was so hot. But that ended up kind of, again, having this very vibey thing. So we went in and just did the album live in 4 days. And then I flew back and we started mixing and mastering. So I would say, I think that was 2022 that we actually recorded the album. Then started layering, overdubbing a few things back in Austin. I got Adrian Quesada to play on a song. I got Carrie Rodriguez and Warren Hood, all these beautiful, amazing Austin musicians to kind of go into studios here and do stuff. And then we, wrapped it up with a bow.
Were you putting a lot of trust in the musicians that David was picking?
Yes.
Was that worrisome at all?
They were, so David only works with the most amazing musicians, case in point. No,
sure.
I'm just kidding. No, but I trust him implicitly with pretty much anything. And
because this is a big investment. You're flying
a big investment.
out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've never met these musicians before.
But I knew who they were, Ramon.
Okay, got it. All right.
They were, Fiona Apple, who is like one of my, heroines. I love her so much. David had worked with and collaborated with Fiona, and these were the musicians who played on her, last several albums. Sebastian Steinberg, who was also Soul Coughing's, a member of Soul Coughing, amazing band from the 90s who I loved. I love Sebastian. He did all the upright bass on the album. Amy Wood, the drummer, who's been drumming with Fiona Apple for ages and is just brilliant. And David. It was basically a power trio. I went in, played guitar. It was Amy, Sebastian, and David on auxiliary everything. And it was just magical because they themselves are so tight together. And I knew they would just come in and be magic, and they were. So, yeah.
Part of the reason why I think I'm good at what I do is because I make up stories in my head, but also that could be a detriment to my own personality, building mounds out of molehills. I'm just thinking in this whole process, they have this reputation. You can look them up on the internet and see who they played with, but what about their temperament? How are they going to act? What is their personality?
I knew.
Okay. Right.
I just knew. Like anyone that David, you have these people.
So these people were guilty by association.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
In the best way.
You have people that you just trust because like they're not going to be working with assholes. And David is one of those. It's like he only works with badass, cool people. So it was just like, I know you got me. I know that I don't have to worry at all about these amazing people. So yeah.
Yeah, and going through your website, because that's where I'm pulling all this information from, you went to Tornillo. And my only...
that's right. You're from...
Yeah, I'm from West Texas. Yep, yeah. Alpine. We would play Tornillo like in every sport, football, basketball, baseball.
That's awesome.
And we would drive all the way out there. I'm like, what is out here? And here I am decades ago. Like apparently there's a really awesome studio out there.
There's a pecan orchard.
Okay.
That has been turned into a an incredible studio called Sonic Ranch. It was, so that's why it's called Sonic Ranch, is that it's a pecan ranch. Sorry, I said orchard, I meant ranch.
Yeah.
That's still functioning.
Okay.
And the owner, Tony, of the studios, it's the land has been in his family for years, and he decided to turn this like basically hacienda into this incredible recording studio, world class. I mean, bands come from all over the world to record there, and it's amazing because you go out there, excuse me, and you stay in a little like casita or something. You go to the ranch, the hacienda in the morning. These women have made burritos, huevos rancheros, whatever you want. You basically put in an order. They give you food. You eat. You go to the studio. You make music all day, record. You come back and have an amazing meal for lunch or dinner. It's just like this, like people who go out there, it's kind of this like club now. It's like if you've been there, it's like if you know, you know. It just is this amazing, magical place to be creative, make music, and just get to do that without having to worry about all the things like feeding yourself, feeding your band, putting your band up, you know.
How?
It's
but
all there.
how? Logistically, it's like what, probably an hour
Well, it's
away
only
from
about
El
an
Paso.
hour from El Paso.
Okay, all right.
So
I
you
didn't think
fly into
about
El
that.
Paso,
Yeah.
and it's actually not that hard to get there. They have a whole crew that like they'll come out and get you at the airport,
but-
you know. So it's like you don't have to worry about that. But it really is incredible. I went out there years ago when David was working there. I think the first time I went, I was it? Oh, okay. I went out for a wedding in Marfa. One of my dear friends was getting married.
Sorry.
I know, you're an Alpine versus
We
Marfa.
have our-
I get
we
it.
have our
I get it, man.
rivalry.
I get it. And believe me, I love both of them for different reasons. I love Alpine. Alpine was my first introduction. I can't talk right now, to West Texas, because I grew up going out to Big Bend,
Yep.
and my family, we would always like stay in Alpine for a night, and then anyway, before Marfa was cool and hip and all that, but. I went to Marfa for a
Thank
wedding.
you for that. You can stay now. I won't delete
You're
this
welcome.
episode.
You're welcome. I used to play Railroad Blues.
Yeah.
Yes, I played
God, that
Railroad
was a
Blues
party
before
place.
any other West Texas venue. So, but anyway, so I was Marfa for a wedding. David texted me. He was like, "Hey, I'm at Sonic Ranch. You should," because we were flying back to New York from El Paso.
Oh, okay.
And so he was like, "Come to Tornillo before you go to El Paso," and we went, me and my partner Paul, and we're just like blown away. It was just like, oh my God. And so I was like, from right there, the seed was planted. Anyway, that I wanted to go out there and record an album.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
finally happened.
it's
Because
just-
we did, I guess the connection here that people might be losing is that I did the 4 days in LA, and then 2 weeks later flew out to Sonic Ranch and met up with David, and we had about 4 or 5 days of just me and him doing all this sort of like extra stuff, recording vocals, overdubbing, and it was just this beautiful secondary, part 2 of the album making process. Yeah.
The economics of having a studio out there, I don't understand how it works. It's out in the middle of nowhere, or it's an hour away from El Paso. It's off the beaten path, I would assume.
Yeah.
Like there's no advertising. It's just all a network of musicians who perform or record out there, and it just spreads.
Yeah.
Like that's how it gets business.
Well, that's the thing is like
That's
in the
insane.
music world, especially for like the super top notch people who are doing it, word of mouth is like everything. And so word travels fast that like if there is a beautiful, like economical, amazing, creative space to create your art in, then you're going to want to be there,
Yeah.
and that's this magical little place. Yeah. And a lot of bands come from Mexico City because of the location, right? It's like right there
Got it.
by the
Okay.
border. So they actually record like some of the most incredible Mexican, like huge artists, Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's so fascinating how little micro,
Yeah.
artistic places just
Totally. Yeah.
thrive
Yeah.
in that area.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty about where I grew up and including Marfa, is that
Yeah.
people find a way to survive out there.
Yes.
And you have to hustle and you have to work hard if you
Totally.
want to make a living out
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
So that's why I'm so fond of Alpine.
What did your family do growing up in
Oh,
Alpine?
that's a good question. So my parents are really old.
Yeah.
They retired by the time we moved out there.
Oh, wow.
So my
Okay.
dad had worked for the school district in Riverside, California, where I
Got
was
it.
born and raised. and he did that for 15 years, did other jobs before that. And my mom worked in Toro, the lawnmower company,
Yeah.
but she would assemble sprinklers on an assembly line.
Right on.
And
Okay.
so they timed the market just right before 2008 mark.
Yep,
So they
yep.
cashed in big on their home in Riverside, and then that kind of shuttled us to Alpine.
Interesting. Why
Yeah.
Alpine?
My dad's from Fort Stockton, Texas.
Okay, gotcha.
They
gotcha.
didn't like the neighborhood I was growing up in. Like there was literally Heisenberg was growing his product right across the street from us.
Right.
And so I would what's that smell, Dad? He's like, oh, shit. All right, well, we might have to move. And my
Time
brother,
to move.
yeah, my brother and sister both had their careers. My brother's an
Okay,
electrician,
okay.
sister was a teacher.
Gotcha.
And I was the baby of the family.
Right
and
on.
they're like, all right, let's get you out of here. I'm like, but Alpine doesn't have any like Taco Bell. They don't have a mall. Like,
now they probably do.
No,
I think they
well,
have
no, they
They have a
don't.
McDonald's.
They have McDonald's. That's it. Walmart was never allowed in there.
Yeah,
we
thank
had.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. We had
Yeah.
Alco and we had Bell's, which
Bells. That's right. There's an old Bells there.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
is. So you finished the album.
Yeah.
And there's a specific song on there called Brianna.
Yes.
It's about a terrible situation that
Yeah.
happened. What inspired you to write a song about that?
Yeah, that's definitely like the oddball one on the album. That's very specific.
It wasn't an oddball. It was just more like kind of hitting me in the face.
Yeah. So again, I think that writing during 2020, being an artist during that time was crazy because we were all so isolated and insulated and focused on the news, and every story became like this crazy story that drew us in so intensely because our attention was so hyper focused, right?
Yeah.
We weren't out and about. Like, honestly, this story, it would have affected me regardless, but unfortunately, it probably just would have been another story, bad story in the news had it not been 2020, right? So it happened March of 2020, and I just remember like hearing about the way the whole thing went down. And I think the thing that struck me in particular about her story is that she was studying to be an EMS, like a healer, basically, right? An EMS worker. And I'm like, here is this innocent woman who was just, in her home at night, and whatever, due to a lot of racism, unfortunate circumstances, all these things, bad information, just, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Ramon.
No, it's all right.
The wine. Whatever. Horrible activities done by evil people. I'm just going to say that. Okay. She was killed. And meanwhile, she was a person who was trying to help people who would maybe be in that position. So I was listening to the journalism around it so much. And I just sat down one day and this song just flowed out of me. And I kind of wrote it really for her mom, and just like I was a mom of a baby at the time and a small child, and just thinking like, that's like the worst situation ever, to just like suddenly wake up to the fact that your daughter was shot in the middle of the night because of all these horrible circumstances that were just so wrong. And anyway, I'm not talking very great around it. I can't talk today, but it's one of those songs that just sort of poured out of me. And it was a very different song for me to write because I usually write kind of more love songs, more like deep philosophical songs. I'm like not really writing about a specific thing. It's more of this sort of like, I don't know, idea. And this was like, I had to say her name. Like her name just kind of came out of me. Also, Brianna, that name is very musical. And I'm not going to lie. Like it's there are names that I hear about in the news where I'm like, I would like to write a song about that because it just is a beautiful name to say. And so it was something about like the say my name, say her name, Brianna movement that was going on. It was just like so stamped in my head. And so it was almost like I couldn't not write a song about it. So it just flowed out of me. And I felt like when I originally wrote it, I wrote it on guitar and it was this very folky, kind of had like pretty chord changes. It was very like major and happy. And when I got into the studio with David, he was like, Suze, this needs to be sort of a Nina Simone, like gospel, lament, right? This, like, I don't think, like, he took the guitar out of my hands and it ended up, he did the beautiful dark piano. And then we got Adrian Quesada to play his like haunting, beautiful guitar vibe on it. And it just ended up being this beautiful, gut-wrenching song of lament for Brianna and really for her mom, you know? So, yeah.
When you create songs like that and other musicians are playing their part, how do you give them space to write and influence or put their own take on it? And then when you perform that song live with the other musician, how do you not say, hey, I want it played exactly like this on the album?
Yeah.
Or is that you don't even say that?
Yeah, I mean, with that, like that recording, we recorded it super late at night. I think we left that until the very end to record it because it was so sensitive, and David knew that, and he wanted me in the right frame of mind, in the right space. The musicians were so respectful, and they listened so deeply to what he was playing and what I was singing. It was really one of those, I was singing live in the room and they were following me. It was almost like I was conducting them with my energy, perhaps my hand movement, my voice, and they just listened. And it was like I had chills when we recorded that. It was really, it was really like no other experience I've had in the studio. So yeah, it was very, a lot of listening, a lot of deep reverence for the song material, obviously the subject material, and then also the way I was kind of channeling it through my voice and the music. So yeah.
Are you pretty particular when you do play not just that song but other songs? Are there certain elements the way you want a guitar to sound? Obviously you don't want you don't want the Jimi Hendrix wah wah going on in a very. But is there any sort of direction you give to your hired musicians when you play live? Or you just let them do their thing?
I kind of just let them do their thing.
Okay.
It's funny. It's like, it's kind of funny because every now and then I'll work with someone, like a drummer will come in and they're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you didn't really have any notes for me. You just let me do my thing. Now there are times I do if the musician isn't playing what I want them to, but I really am picky and particular about who I play with. And it's for a reason, because I kind of want to just have this unspoken chemistry and dynamic. And there are players who I know will give that to me, and other players who I'm like, I'm going to have to give them some notes, which is whatever. That's fine. It's totally fine.
Sure.
And some musicians have been programmed to play that way because of the artists that they have played with, right? They play with people who have a lot of notes and they want things just so. And that's totally great. That's one way of doing things. I'm just I kind of consider myself almost like a jazz musician where I'm like, I really want things to just happen the way they happen in the room, affected by the energy, and just know that like everybody is so great at what they do that they'll just show up and like whatever they play will be great.
You
know
do
what I mean?
play some complex chords, and I remember vividly watching the Hey Mister video. You did it like in a live performance studio. I forgot who it was.
Yeah. At Emmy
and I was just
Studios,
trying to recreate the Hey Mister song. I'm like, that chord kind of looks like this, but my hand doesn't bend that way. So it is very. You are very talented in when it comes to guitar playing and singing. So
thank you. I have room for improvement, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Still, now you still feel like you have room for improvement.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes, I need to practice some stuff.
Well, we are well over an hour, and I just have a few more questions.
Yeah.
So you've been a server, a DJ host, a musician, songwriter, and more importantly, probably the most important job, you've been a mom.
Yeah.
What's it like raising two kids as a musician?
It's awesome. I have to say, I think being a musician, or really that word could probably be, you could also fill in the blank with entrepreneur,
that too,
creative.
Yeah.
There is something so amazing and open and flexible about raising children while you are a creative, an entrepreneur, whatever. One, your schedule is, even though it's a little crazy sometimes and it can be all over the place, sometimes I do have to leave at night for a gig and my kids get a little upset. I always remind them, I'm like, do you know how much more time I get to spend with you because I'm not a doctor or a lawyer or a, whatever.
Yeah.
Those things are amazing too. And also have, different benefits of being a parent and raising kids, but I love that my children also are exposed to such an interesting, creative group of people. They're constantly around, especially a lot of women, a lot of like amazing, and because I'm raising 2 girls, I think it's really cool that they see all these like amazing women who are making it out in the world, you know, with their music and their art. And, you know, they also have an entrepreneur for a father. So that's really cool too. He's creative in a completely different way. You know?
What does he do for work?
So he owns and created Cosmic Coffee and Beer Garden in town.
No shit.
Yeah.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's like into landscaping, permaculture, sustainability, but also was in the bar, and he owned Momo's. Momo's was his thing.
Right. You talked about that.
Yeah.
But holy
so
shit.
Cosmic is like, and Cosmic. What's cool about Cosmic is I won't go too far down this road, but was very much influenced by us having children and him not wanting to be out late night in the bars anymore. And he's like, how can I apply my expertise and what I know and what I've done in this blueprint of a live music venue or a bar, but make it more family friendly. So thus we have Cosmic, which is coffee shop, bar, beer garden, kind of everything, but you can totally show up there with your kids and, you know, have the family life. And he does not have to work until 2 a.m. anymore, 3 a.m. So he's sort of, it's this kind of really cool, beautiful relationship of family life influencing work and work influencing family life.
That's
so
amazing.
Anyway, so I love being a mom musician. It definitely has its challenges. Every now and then I have a longing to be out on the road. And then it's funny. I'll go out and I'll go out and do it for a bit, and I'm like,
you want to go back?
Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. This isn't as glamorous as it used to be, or it's not. It's just not as fun as it used to be. So there's always that sort of like slight pining for something that really is not quite the thing. It's like an idea in your mind that's not quite there. So but I love being a mom. It's the best. It's the best.
Quick tangent. Indian Roller was a bar right down the road from me. My favorite bar, but it closed down unfortunately. Is it true that Cosmic was going? Are you allowed to?
Yes,
are you allowed to? Okay,
all
please.
I can say, and this isn't giving anything weird away. Most people know it. It's public info, but yes, Cosmic has it, but they are still getting investors to further the project.
Okay.
So it's like they're kind of on hold right now, but it will eventually.
We
be
saw the tearing down of it. I'm like, oh, that's so sad. But then once I got word that it's going to be Cosmic, I'm like,
yes. Believe me, every single day I get a text or an email or a conversation at a bar of like, when is it opening? It's right around the corner. So it will be it eventually.
Okay.
We're very
well,
excited,
if any other venue, I'm just so happy that it is Cosmic that's going in there, because Indian Roller was one of my favorite bars.
It was such a cool bar. I loved
it.
Indian
Was
Roller.
just like going into a house and partying and getting drinks and being able to just go home very quickly or not.
Yeah. Or not.
Or not. So going into becoming a parent, does that influence your entrepreneurial spirit and helps you make or business decisions?
Yes, for sure. You know what being a parent does is it quickly gives you boundaries and like permission to say no to things, to say yes to other things. It's like you're less likely to say no to crappy gigs and shit.
I'm sorry, I got to take care of the kids tonight. Sorry.
So, oh my God, kids are the most amazing excuse to get out of things ever. Except for then they become bigger and you still find yourself being like, well, my little one needs me, and your little one's like 18 years old. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it is a great get out of jail free card. It's it's a great that, but it's also it really just puts your priorities in perspective very quickly, and you quickly learn like, oh, I don't want to give up time with my kids to go do this. I will give up some time with my kids to do this, right? Because either A, it makes me money to support my kids, or it's part of what really fuels me, my soul, my creativity. It's something that's nurturing me. So you just quickly make those decisions. And I talk about this all the time with my other mom musician friends. It's like we so quickly figure out what to say yes and no to.
Okay. I've had plenty of conversations with guys who've had kids, and they said the same thing. It just completely changes your focus as being an entrepreneur and knowing that you are doing something purposeful. And on top of that, like a gym owner told me, Ramon, how cool is it going to be to tell your child that you're able to raise them by your own means, by your own business? Like that's the coolest thing you could ever tell your kid.
Yeah.
But it's also very scary in a sense that, you know, as an entrepreneur, you never know where your next paycheck's coming from.
Oh, totally. It's there are times where it gets a little like, oh God, did I make the right life choices? You know?
And for me, those moments always come when I'm cooking dinner. I'm like, I don't have any jobs next month. What the hell am I going to do? But then I always say this, the universe will take care of you and something always comes my way. But then again, I always think, oh, fuck, what is it? What if it doesn't happen this time?
I know. Well, and the thing about having kids is it definitely gets you even more, it kind of lights more of a fire underneath you to grow, to seek and grow and find those opportunities, because you kind of don't have a choice, right? It's like you got to put food on the table. You have to support them. So in some ways, it's a great motivator to even become more successful. You know, it doesn't always work out that way, but I've seen so many friends really get their shit together and become even more successful because they've had children, you know? So, yeah.
How do you manage your friendships when you have children? Because you have two kids plus two step children?
Yeah, I have two older step kids who are awesome, and they're out of the house now, but two little ones. And so how do I manage friendships?
Yeah, because I value my friendship so much. Like I am the guy who's always saying, hey, let's go grab a beer. Let's do this. And then my thought is, when I have a child, if we do have a kid, like, will that still be there? Or am I going to have to sacrifice that and give it up?
It will, but it will go away for a little bit. There is a period of time where, I mean, when you have a baby, it's
pure hell.
It's not pure hell, but there's a lack of sleep and a lot of, you know, for your lady, there will be hormonal things that happen that are just like, ugh. But
well, my buddy was like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's pure hell. But then he, you know, puts the cherry on top. He's like, but it's so worth it.
It's so worth it. One, that you won't really mind a lot of that. Some of it will get under your nerves, but some of it you'll just be like, well, whatever. I have this amazing little human that I'm raising and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It like gives you so much, right? But I always say, like, having a child is sort of like a death in a way. You say goodbye and kind of mourn the loss of your old life, your old self, the person you were before you had kids, because you were never going to be that person again. But that's okay, because with the rebirth, the new birth, the new life, comes new friendships. Yeah. Yes, some old friendships might die, and also they might get rekindled again later. It's like, you know, there's phases and stages to everything, right?
Yep.
So like, some, you know, there might be friends you don't see for a while, and then suddenly you do, you know, and there will be new parent friends that you make because, you know, suddenly you're taking your kid to preschool and you're forging new friendships with people who understand, they get it. They're in the same world you're in. So there's that, you know, and it's just, you figure out how to make it work. Also, babies can go to bars. For the first year of Lulu's life, I would just like strap her to me. And there, oh my God, do you know how many breweries there are where I see babies at? Like, dude, this is the way, right? Like, Austin is so family and kid friendly. Yep. So you really will not have to change your lifestyle that much. Okay. I always tell people, I think it used to be harder. And now it's like, oh my God, like, you just strap your babies, they just sleep on you half the time. It's really when they get a little older that it's actually trickier, because, you know,
you got to keep an eye out.
You have to keep an eye out. They're walking, they're running, they're getting into stuff. So,
meanwhile is probably one of my favorite places to go for me and my friends who have kids, because they can just let their kid run loose and we could just have a conversation. So that's very true. I always forget about that element. Like, there are family-friendly places that you can go to enjoy time with your friends.
Totally. Okay. Yeah, it's just a whole new world, a whole new landscape, but it's not a bad thing. You do have to say goodbye to some things, but it's worth it, you know? Yeah.
So now that you're a parent, what do you hope your kids do as an occupation, and how are you going to support that? Do you want to guide them into being a musician, or it's just, hey, do your thing and whatever it is, I'll give you my opinion, but it's up to you to make the final decision?
Yeah. So I really, in my ideal mind, I am the parent who is just completely like, whatever you want to do. I love you. It's you. You do you. And I think for the most part I am. But I would be lying if I said I didn't care if they weren't musical in some way. And it's funny because so my 10-year-old is very like, Mom, I don't want to do music. Don't push me. Like, you know, like I've really tried to urge her to do music and she's sort of pushing back and it's kind of killing me. But I am slowly working through this and coming to peace with it. I think she's just going to be I think she's very musical, and as is my little one too, my littlest. But I have come to this like realization, they're going to find it their own way. I think all you can do is expose them to it, right? The cool thing is my older one loves going to hear live music. She loves it.
Awesome.
She went to the She Rises Fest with me the second year.
Really?
She was floating around with me. Yeah. And she loved it. Oh my God.
Good.
She's like an extrovert. She loves being out in the scene. She loves it all. So even though she's kind of fighting me a little bit on like taking lessons or like sort of doing it formally, I think the seed has been I know the seed has been planted, and I know that there is something that it sparks for her. So honestly, and it's funny because sometimes I'm like, I check myself and I'm like, why do I even want her to be a musician? It's so hard. Like, go be a lawyer or you know, whatever. So there's that too. Like I have friends whose kids are super musical, and it's so the irony is they're like, oh my God, I don't want them to be musicians, right? And here I am like wanting my child to be musical and she's not. It's like, whatever, the grass is always greener. There's just that element to things. But really, I just want them, when you see your kid light up over something, whether it's like gymnastics or art or whatever, that is so exciting. And so I've come to know that, and I'm like, whatever lights them up will light me up. And so I'm just like kind of leaving it open and just trying to support whatever. Like my oldest now wants to do theater, and I'm like, yes, maybe I'll have a little thespian, a little actress on my hands, you know? And she's definitely dramatic. So I think that, you know, she'll be good at it. She'll watch this years later from now and be like, Mom, geez, you know. But
and that's the cool thing about why I'm doing this, is because 30, 40 years from now,
it's a document.
Exactly.
It's an archive.
And
I love
your
it.
children will be able to watch it. And
yes.
Hopefully they'll still think you're cool.
Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see.
That was my next question. Do they think you're cool
right now? Yes. We are right on the border with my 10-year-old. It's definitely, if I sing in public, like, so she knows I sing for a living, and
Sure.
she's like totally fine with that. She loves coming to my shows, actually.
Oh.
But if I'm like, we're like in the grocery line and I'm like rocking out to like Janet Jackson at HEB, and I'm like, ooh, you know, she's like, Mom, stop, you're embarrassing me. So the cringe thing is definitely starting to happen. My little one is she still thinks I hung the moon, but yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. So.
Yeah, I was talking to Kyle, and I found out he had, kids, and so I'm like, dude, when you go to like the day that, you know, how you present your parents' occupation.
Yes.
I'm like, are you the coolest guy in the
Career
room?
day.
He's like, not really, but you know, I would think he would be if I was a kid and my dad was a drummer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that thing, right? It's like your kids never really think you're that cool, and then at some point they do. It's like it flux. It's like the flux, right? Of like, you don't think your parents are cool, then suddenly they're cool. You know.
Well, it's just so weird, and it again, here's the Catholic guilt coming into me, is that I always, admired the Dallas Cowboys. I always admired Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, all these people who were high profile, and they won these Super Bowls, but then I think it was like at the age of 28, I read the book about them. I'm like, these are terrible individuals. Why did I ever look up to them? When lo and behold,
don't meet your heroes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
when lo and behold, it should have been, I should have been idolizing my father for the effort that he put into the work, and the fact that he raised me, and he was a good guy, and he took me to all these, baseball practices, even though he was tired, and he put up with my teenage antics and what. So it sucks that it takes you a certain amount of time to understand who your real heroes are.
Totally. But that's the thing about parenting, is like, you don't do it for you don't do it for like the love and attention and fame, right? It is like the hardest, most thankless job there is. And that's why when you do have those beautiful, sweet, special moments with your kid where they see you and you see them, it is like the most rewarding thing on the planet, it's just nothing like that. So like, it's really cool that you just said that about your dad. Like, if he watches this, I guarantee you his heart will just like burst and warm. Like, it really does feel good to be seen by your kid. But we also know that like those Emmett Smiths and those, like, they're heroes, they're legends because they're like spectacular at what they do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing, right? Kids are always going to be like drawn to them. My daughter's obsessed with Taylor Swift. I can try all I want to get her into these like more indie bands that I love, but she's just not gonna, they're not gonna, like, maybe one day she'll think they're cool, but it's fine. It is what it is.
But that's the thing that I kind of want to change in all of this, like the conversations that I have, like these, I think they're important conversations because they're coming from actual human beings as opposed to social media where it is, either completely devastating, terrible things going around the world or just absolutely complete nonsense. But if we elevate some of the stories that are impactful, like yours and many other Austin musicians, maybe that could change the course of the way our kids think of our parents in some form or fashion. It's just there's so many unique, awesome stories out there. But unfortunately, it's an old saying: if it bleeds, it leads. So, that's kind of the whole point of this Resolute Media thing. Is just like I want to try to do something, because I don't like what I'm seeing. So,
thank you for doing this. We need people like you in the world because I'm seeing more and more of this, and it makes me so happy. It's just like getting the small stories out there, getting this, like, that's so important. People discover their new favorite artists by this, like it's just like little by little piecing these threads together and getting, really, you're just doing the great work of like having someone tell their story, right? And it's like, so you're like you're someone who's getting the story out of someone, and that's such a cool, it's just such a cool existence. It's a cool job to do in the world. So
and if we have a kid, hopefully that kid will recognize how cool I am.
And he takes great photos.
Last thing, hopefully.
And video.
Last thing, talk to me about September 26th. What's going on there?
September.
I think that's your show at Saxon. I might have gotten that wrong.
26. Hold on. No.
It's in 2 weeks.
It's a C-Boys. It's a C-Boys. Yeah.
That's right.
That is my next show at C-Boys. So the next 2 Fridays, I don't know when this will air or come out. Next week. Okay. So the next 2 Fridays I'm gone from C-Boys, but I'm back there the 26th, and then October 3rd, I think, is the next one. And then we're gone for a couple. September and October are kind of nuts. They always are. It's like the fall hits, and I get different offers and opportunities to do like I'm playing Texas Women's Songwriters Fest in Lockhart, which is the 3rd weekend of September. It's like that 19th, 20th. So I had to cancel C-Boys for that. And it's fine. That's the beauty of C-Boys too. They're so great with working with me. Like, they know that every now and then I'm going to have to duck out to do other things. But for the most part, we hold down the Friday night there. So we'll be back. We'll be there the entire month of November with the band. And I'm trying to do some live recordings at those. So yeah. But
and I lied. I want to ask one more question. So you perform a free show at C-Boys.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk numbers, but how does that financially, how does that get revenue into you to the band?
Well,
so it's free. I'm like, why is
it is free,
happening?
But people tip. There's a tip jar.
Sure.
And I just encourage people to tip, and usually they do a really good job.
Okay.
And we get a percentage of the bar.
Okay, I was going to ask. Okay, so the bar's taking care of you.
So no, C-Boys is not like screwing us over. They are.
No, that's not what I'm trying to.
No, but no, you're not the first person to ask that. And I think it is really important to make sure people know we are not just playing for free.
Right.
Like I'm paying my band, I pay myself.
Yeah.
And I've like kind of compared the numbers out of curiosity with friends who play ticketed shows there or shows with a door cover, and honestly, it's about the same.
Okay.
So really, it's totally fine. Yeah.
Now, how do you expand upon that? How do you grow that? Just social media, social media marketing, just word of mouth.
Yeah, social media.
Bring a friend
word of
to
mouth
the show.
Actually is amazing still, because I have
it's the best form of marketing.
It really is.
Yeah.
All it takes is like your friend to show up at your party being like, oh my God, I saw this band last week at C-Boys. You got to come with me next week. And then they bring a friend, and then they tell somebody, and and it just like spreads. And it's really cool. I'm always blown away too by like, I will ask people, I'm like, how did you hear about the show? I'm curious, if I don't know them personally. And it's cool. Sometimes you get the beautiful like mention from like a hotel concierge. Like some people are tourists who are in town, and they're like, well, funny enough, the person at my hotel was like, you got to go to C-Boys to see Suzanna Choffel. And like, that's when you're kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. The hotels are talking about me. And so it's great. There's a million different ways to spread the word, but I really do think word of mouth is still the most tried and true, because your friends will, to this day, if someone tells me, if they come to me and they're like, oh my God, Suze, you have to go see this artist, and I really respect this person's opinion, I'll definitely be more likely to go see that artist than just seeing some post on social media or whatever. So yeah,
that's another thing that I'm telling artists is like, use your song when you're promoting yourself and not someone else's. So I'm seeing a lot of that, and I'm kind of telling people, don't do that.
No, don't do it. For the most part, I try to use my own.
Good,
because
you should.
Yeah.
No, I'm just having more questions and more conversation. One more. Is there like any is Seaboys or Continental Club, are they working with any of the hotels like right off that strip?
I think a lot of the hotels on that street do recommend them just because, hey, it's proximity. It's like, look, this is walking distance. You can walk down the street and catch an incredible band. Then you can walk to another bar and catch another one. So the hotels in the area are definitely a great resource for us for the tourists that are coming through. Yeah.
Would it, like, if a up-and-coming musician, would it be good for themselves to just go to every hotel and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so?
It's not a bad idea. That's actually a great idea.
Has anyone ever done that?
I'm sure there are people who do, who are like scrappier and like better at marketing themselves. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that stuff.
No, yeah, but you've also put in the work to elevate your name. Yeah.
Like I wonder if people maybe just like actually ask if they can put out like handbills or flyers or something, or if they can just tell them like, hey, this is something to recommend every Friday.
Because that's definitely a hustle.
You've given me an idea, Roman.
That's
go straight over to Hotel San Jose after this.
There you go.
Make sure they know.
Yeah, that's why I love these conversations, because Brandon, I want to talk to you guys during the show, but you only have limited time, and I mean, and again, I don't want to scream in everyone's ear. Just, hey, how's it going?
Yes.
Good, are you? Okay.
Bash them over the head.
That's all I got. Well over and over.
Thank you so
Susanna,
much.
I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day of being a mom, of being
my
a musician.
hungover day. You got me on a real fun day, Ramon.
All right.
None of my words worked, but that's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Enjoy the day. And
thank you so much.
That's it. Yep. God bless. Bye.